I get to follow Brett. Good morning and welcome to the 2nd Senate District. Education and the news media are two critically important institutions that have been involved in the freedom movement here in America. It is with great pride that I stand here today, first as an educator, which was and is my role before I became a legislator. As a professor, I have long believed that knowledge is power. Power can be productive, but also destructive. When we educate ourselves with the truth and commit to living out that truth, we can change our communities for the better. As a student and product of the Southern Freedom Movement, I know intimately that the truth shall indeed set us free. As a legislator, I believe that establishing laws that are rooted in truth is crucial to guaranteeing freedom and justice for all. The responsibility of the General Assembly is to confront this important principle during each session, and the news media is equally responsible. The press has often been a guiding light toward helping the legislative branch of government achieve this important goal. President Thomas Jefferson was correct to champion the role of the press as a pillar of democracy. As an African American, the news media, particularly the black press, has been vital to the process of educating and inspiring African Americans to persevere toward freedom. From its very beginning, the black press advocated passionately for freedom, education, and self-empowerment. In 1827, Freedom's Journal, America's first black newspaper, launched with these powerful words, and I quote, "We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. Too long has the public been deceived by misrepresentations in things which concern us dearly." These words define the desire and willingness of black people to fight for their freedom, to determine their own fate. And regarding the importance of education, Freedom's Journal looked toward future generations of African Americans. The editorial continued, and I again quote, "Education being an object of the highest importance to the welfare of society, we shall endeavor to present just and adequate views of it. It is surely time that we should awake from this lethargy of years and make a concentrated effort for the education of our youth. Deliberate miseducation was why the institution of slavery stood for so many generations. This wrong, yet very real belief that black people were less than human prevailed among many well-educated white men and women. It was not only perpetuated in schools, but through writings and images published in the white press. But the black press, from Freedom's Journal on through other black publications, such as Norfolk's Journal and Guide here locally, presented an America that was being deliberately omitted. Real facts told by black journalists pushed all media to be more balanced, more accurate, to become better at telling the truth. Now in 2019, as news is consumed in new ways, we face the challenge of inaccurate information spread across the internet and the airwaves. Lies have threatened our knowledge of each other as Americans. We are more educated, yet we seem to have less understanding of the truth. Today, more than ever, we need voices of truth in the media, such as our speaker today. Media personalities who are dedicated to advocacy that educates and moves Americans to positive action. It is my honor to introduce Van Jones, a graduate of the University of Tennessee and Yale Law School. He has worked for economic justice, both as a civil rights attorney and environmental activist, and is known for his best-selling book, The Green Collar Economy. He served as special advisor for green jobs for President Obama, is now as a host and commentator on CNN. Please join me in welcoming Van Jones.
I'm relieved, because nobody ever remember anything that happened except for Bryce. Get that young man. Everybody's wiping away tears listening to that young man. I will save time by just echoing and amening all of the great words of appreciation, all the honors to all the people who are here, and just say a few words. I'm a ninth generation American. I'm a ninth generation American. And I'm the first person in my family who was born with all my rights recognized by this government. I'm a ninth generation American. I'm the first person in my family. So when people say, why do you guys keep talking about these issues? I'm not talking about my great-great-great-great-grandparents, though I could and should. My mother and my father were born under segregation. My father, Willie Anthony Jones, was born in poverty and segregation in Memphis, Tennessee. He joined the military. When everybody was running out of the military, my father ran in so he could put himself through college. He went to a little black college in Jackson, Tennessee called Lane College, and he married the college president's daughter. So my father had he knew what he was doing. And after he got out, he and my mother put my Uncle Milton through college, his little brother, and a cousin through college. And my entire family got out of poverty on this bridge called my father's back. And when my father died, the picture they put of my father on the funeral program was my father standing in front of Yale Law School the day I graduated with his hands in the air. He did. We can go anywhere and compete with anybody. And my one great pain is that my father lost his battle with cancer before being able to see Barack Obama enter the White House. And yet in some ways, maybe it's good. Because my father was not the kind of man who would have taken it easy on me or easy on us. And as we look to the future, my father would have asked me, son, how can you be happy to have one black man in the White House and almost 1 million black men in the jailhouse and not do the right thing? It wouldn't be easy on us. How can you be happy to celebrate a few black billionaires when the average wealth of the black family is going down and down and down to almost zero? He would be tough on us. And he would not accept the answer that there are racists in the country, that there are opponents in the country. You know, when I would come home from school and talk about racism at Yale, my father said, "Did they put any dogs on you, son?" Well, go and get your lesson. So, yes, he would say we have to deal with those issues, but my father would also say something, which I want to share with you. That when you have the right strategy, it's hard to hurt you. And when you have the wrong strategy, it's hard to help you. And when your enemy downgrades, you've got to upgrade your approach. And as we now look to the next 400 years, we often have Black History Month. And I love Black History Month. And we need more Black history. It shouldn't just be a month. But I would sometimes feel tempted to trade at least one Black history the White House. We believed that we had gotten to the mountaintop that Dr. King talked about. But when we got to that mountaintop, we realized that our sisters and brothers in Haiti, who had been dropped off by other boats, were correct when they say behind the mountains is another mountain. That achievement in 2008 was not the end, it was the beginning of a new journey.
That's right.
And behind the mountain of Washington, D.C., there are other mountains of power. There are 4 centers of power in our country. And we did not know that until we got to Washington, D.C. We spent most of the last century trying to get to Washington, D.C. Frederick Douglass went to D.C. to talk to Lincoln. Dr. King, a young preacher, marched on Washington, D.C., hoping a president would do better. Barack and Michelle Obama went to the White House. Our entire strategy primarily focused on Washington, D.C. And when we got to that corner of power, it turned out there were 3 others that we didn't know anything about. And if we're going to be honest, there's work left to be done in Washington, D.C. And I am proud to be under the leadership and the tutelage of Bobby Scott doing that work to deal with that. I'm proud that in Washington, D.C., Bobby Scott is bringing conservatives and liberals together to do something about incarceration. Because conservatives believe in liberty and liberals believe in justice. And our incarceration industry denies liberty and justice to too many people. And that's why Bobby Scott is such a champion for liberty and justice for all. I love this man. And we want to do it. But D.C. is only one corner of a 4-corner power system. If you leave Washington, D.C. and get on the train and go north just a few hours, you're in New York City, Wall Street, finance, big capital, very few African Americans there. I want to make sure that the next generation sitting in our classrooms will study Robert Smith, the African American who was beginning to dominate Wall Street as much as we could study anybody else. Big money, big power, Wall Street. If you leave Wall Street, take an Uber or a Lyft or a taxi, and you go to the airport, JFK. You can fly across the country, and within 5 hours you're in the Bay Area, Northern California, Silicon Valley, where you have Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, the people who are building the future. We used to write the future in laws in Washington, D.C. Now the future is being written in computer code in Silicon Valley. They're changing your phone right now, and that's what permission. The power to write and to dictate the future is in Silicon Valley. Very few African Americans in Silicon Valley. Our children are happy to be given the opportunity to download apps, not being taught how to write their own and upload apps. We need a generation of uploaders, not just downloaders, for the next generation to continue. Lastly, you take a leisurely drive from Northern California to Southern California, and you'll very quickly be in a place called Hollywood. And you can see stars, not just in the sky, but on the sidewalks. Another place of power where too often we're the stars, but we don't own the studios. Mediocrity in an information age. Another mountain to climb. I say this to you because the way we got here was because African Americans and our allies were willing to look coldly, clearly, and honestly at the challenges that they face. And with less than we have, with less technology, with less money, with less support, with less understanding, they met every single challenge up to this day. They understood that sometimes you have to have an evolution in the revolution. Sometimes you have to have an evolution in the revolution. When your enemy downgrades, sometimes you have to upgrade, and we are now at that moment. And I am confident that we can meet this moment and meet this challenge and climb the mountain of policy in D.C., finance in Wall Street, technology in Silicon Valley, media ownership in Hollywood, and any other mountains that are revealed to us. Because African American people and our close allies have been the driving force for progress and democracy on these shores, lo these 400 years. And do not forget, the original fake news
All right.
was sold in the 1770s. Where they said, and maybe even believed, that we had created, that we had founded a democratic republic on these shores on one day in 1776. Fake news. We hadn't yet founded a democratic republic. We've begun the process. But Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman standing up to end slavery were founders, too, of a democratic republic. They too were founders in something else, demanding that women have the right to vote, that they be included. Were a part of founding a democratic republic. They were founders too. Ella Jo Baker, Fannie Lou Hamer, Dr. Martin Luther King, Bayard Rustin, challenging segregation, demanding that we live up to these principles. They were founders too. The folks who stood up at Stonewall and said, stop mistreating us because of who we love. They were founders too. The process of founding a truly multiracial, multi-class, democratic republic, the toughest job ever taken on by any people in the world, to have one country with every kind of human being ever born living within it. One country with every race, with every faith, with every gender presentation, every sexuality, every kind of human being ever born in one place, living as a democracy, as a democratic republic, the toughest challenge taken on ever by any people on earth. That challenge is a challenge that was taken on centuries ago, and we will be working to develop it centuries from now. But what that challenge means for us today is that you are a founder. You are a founder. The people on this stage are founding the republic that the Bryson of the world will live in. And we have to take our charge and our time as seriously as the people before us did, so that someday when we put our hands on our heart, we will